There is a song being sung over the waters of this age, and it is aimed at the married man. The world will tell you it is nothing. A glance held 1 second too long. A message answered at midnight. A colleague whose laughter lands a little too warmly. A stranger on a glowing screen whose eyes seem to see you as your wife, weary from the long labor of real love, no longer seems to. The culture calls this harmless. The culture calls this flattering. The culture says a man may warm his hands at any fire so long as he does not step into the flame. This is the lie of our generation, and it is a lie that has broken more households than famine, more fortunes than war. For no man ever fell into the deep sea in a single motion. He drifted. He leaned over the rail. He listened. The ancients knew this danger and gave it a name. They told of sailors crossing perilous waters and of creatures upon the rocks whose voices were more beautiful than any music of earth. The sirens did not board the ships. They did not draw swords. They did not need to. They sang, and the song was tailored to each man who heard it, promising him the one thing his secret heart hungered for. And the sailors turned their vessels toward the sound with their own hands, and the rocks were white with the bones of men who died certain they were sailing toward glory. And one captain alone passed those waters alive with his ears open, not because he was stronger than the song, for no man is stronger than the song, but because before the music began, while his mind was still his own, he had himself bound to the mast of his ship and commanded his crew not to loose him, though he beg. Hear this, for it is the oldest wisdom, and Scripture spoke it before the poets did. The book of Proverbs was written from a father to a son, and again the father returns to one warning above all others, the voice of the strange woman, the flattering lips, the honeyed mouth. For the lips of a strange woman drop as an honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil, but her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell. This is not the language of a prude or a killjoy. This is the language of a man standing at the harbor, counting the ships that never came home. So let us speak plainly, as men, about the song, the singer, and the mast. For the mast is the covenant, the vow a man swore before God and witnesses, and the man who binds himself to it before the music begins is the man who sails home. This meditation is for the married man, the good man, the man who loves his wife and never plans to fall, because the sea does not sink the ships that plan to sink. It sinks the ships that believed they could listen for just a little while. Understand first how the song works, for a man cannot guard against what he does not understand. The siren does not sing about herself. She sings about you. This is her whole power and her only power. The song that pulled sailors onto the rocks was not a song of the siren's beauty. It was a song of the sailor's greatness, his unrecognized valor, the glory that the world had failed to give him. And the voice that pulls a married man off his course today sings the same verses. It says, "You are still fascinating." It says, "Someone finally sees you." It says, "She listens to you the way your wife used to." She laughs at what your wife has heard 1,000 times. She asks about your day as though your day were an epic. The strange woman of Proverbs 7 caught the young man not with her body first, but with her words. With her much fair speech, she caused him to yield. With the flattering of her lips, she forced him. Mark that word. Flattery is force. It is a hand on the tiller that you never feel until the heading is changed. And understand this also. The song finds the hungry man. The sailor who is fed at home does not lean over the rail for the smell of strange bread. When a man lets his marriage grow cold through neglect, when he and his wife become managers of a household rather than lovers within a covenant, when resentment is stored up and gratitude is left unspoken, he goes out onto the waters of the world starving, and a starving man hears music in every voice that offers him a meal. The enemy of your soul is not creative, but he is patient, and he is a student of your emptiness. James writes that every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed, drawn away. The sea does not board you. It waits for you to drift. And know the arithmetic of the drift. Sin never presents its full invoice at the door. It sells the glance for free, the conversation for pennies, the secret for a small and manageable price. And then one day, the whole debt comes due at once, and the man stands amazed in the wreckage asking how he arrived here, as though he had not steered every degree of the turning himself. Can a man take fire in his bosom, and his clothes not be burned? Can one go upon hot coals, and his feet not be burned? The proverb answers its own question. Whoso committeth adultery lacketh understanding. He destroyeth his own soul. A wound and dishonour shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. The rocks are still white with bones, and every man among them once said, I would never. Now come to the mast, for warning without provision is merely fear, and God does not leave his men with fear alone. The captain who survived the sirens made his covenant before the song began. This is the whole secret, and it is the secret of every man who finishes his voyage. You do not decide in the presence of the music. You decide in the silence, in the calm water, in the clear morning of your right mind, and then you bind the decision with ropes that your weaker hour cannot untie. Job, the most blameless man of his age, did exactly this. I made a covenant with mine eyes, he said. Why then should I think upon a maid? A covenant with the eyes. Not a preference, not a guideline. A covenant, sworn in advance, so that when the moment came, the question was already answered, and the man did not have to negotiate with his own hunger on the open water. What are the ropes for a man in this age? They are plain and unglamorous, as ropes always are. The married man does not dine alone with the woman who is not his wife. He does not counsel her in private, does not confide in her the sorrows of his marriage, for shared sorrow is the oldest door in the world. He does not keep the conversation his wife could not read. The moment a man deletes a message, he has already left the harbour. He carries no secret channels, no hidden hours, no second life the size of a phone screen. He tells his wife when someone sings at him, for a siren named aloud at the family table loses her music entirely, and he does not flatter himself that these ropes insult his strength. The rope is not an insult to the sailor. The rope is the reason the sailor grows old. And consider the crew, for the captain did not survive alone. He commanded the men around him, stop your ears with wax, and whatever I say, whatever I beg, do not untie me until we are past. A man needs brothers with wax in their ears, brothers who are not charmed by the thing that is charming him, who have his permission, given in advance, to hold the ropes fast when he starts to reason like a drowning man. Iron sharpeneth iron. Two are better than one, for if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth. The man who keeps his temptation secret has already chosen his shipwreck. He has merely not scheduled it yet. Confession before the fall is the cheapest rescue God offers, and almost no man takes it, because the song tells him he is the one sailor in history who can listen safely. But hear now the deeper truth, the one the ancients only groped toward, for the mast in the old story was only wood, and a man lashed to mere willpower will one day find a knife for his own ropes. there was another captain in those old tellings who passed the same waters a different way. He did not stop his ears at all. He brought aboard a musician whose playing was more beautiful than the siren's song, and the deadly music simply lost, outsung, drowned out by a superior glory. And here the old story bows its head to the gospel, for discipline alone has never saved a man. A stronger song has. The fathers of the church saw it long ago, that the mast is the cross, and the man bound to it is bound not by rope but by love, and the music that overcomes the siren is not silence, but a better hymn. This is where the meditation turns, for God's answer to the strange woman is not merely the guarded eye, it is the delighted heart. Listen to how Scripture speaks to the married man, in words the modern world would blush to read. Drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well. Let thy fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Let her be as the loving hind and pleasant roe. Let her breasts satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. Ravished always. This is not the vocabulary of duty. This is the vocabulary of feasting, and it is a command. God does not tell the married man to starve nobly within his covenant, while the sirens sing of banquets. He tells him the banquet is at home, and that it is his sacred work to keep the fire lit, to court the wife he already won, to study her as a scholar studies a deep book, to pour out upon her the attention that the strange voice is asking him to divert. For attention is the currency of the heart, and every coin spent on the rocks is a coin stolen from the harbour. And why, asked the proverb, wilt thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman, and embrace the bosom of a stranger? Why trade the well for the gutter? The siren's promise is a mirage in every direction, for she does not love you. She loves the song's effect on you, and the man who leaves the wife of his youth for the voice on the rocks discovers that the rocks have no house upon them, no history, no children's laughter, no one who knew him when he was young, nothing but weather. But the wife of the covenant is bone of thy bones. The Lord hath been witness between thee and the wife of thy youth, says Malachi, against whom thou hast dealt treacherously. Yet is she thy companion, and the wife of thy covenant. God stands as witness at every wedding, and he does not leave when the music stops. Therefore what God hath joined together, let not man put asunder, and let no man put it asunder slowly, glance by glance, message by message. In payment so small he never feels the purchase. Remember also that no man sails alone, even when he thinks the water's private. Your sons are in the rigging, watching how their father handles the music. Your daughters are learning from you what a trustworthy man looks like, and they will one day marry the kind of man they watched you be. A church, a company of brothers, a whole line of generations yet unborn, ride in the hull of your vessel. And when a household shatters on the rocks, it is never only the captain who goes into the sea. The proverb says the adulterer destroyeth his own soul. But every man who has watched such a wreck knows that destruction is never so tidy as to take only one soul with it. The stakes of your fidelity are dynastic. Faithfulness is an inheritance, and it is the one inheritance that neither market nor moth can devour. And there was one man who crossed these waters perfectly. He was tempted in all points like as we are, yet without sin. Every song that has ever been sung at you was sung at him, in the wilderness, in the crowd, at the pinnacle of the temple. Offers of every kingdom and every glory tuned precisely to a human heart. And he did not lean over the rail. Then he went to a wooden mast on a hill and was bound to it, not by ropes but by nails, and not for his own passage but for ours, for every sailor who had already gone onto the rocks. Because of that cross, No fallen man's story must end in the water. There is mercy for the man who has already listened too long, forgiveness for the one who has drifted, restoration for households that thought themselves wrecked past salvage. But mercy is a rescue, not a license, and the man who has been pulled from the sea once ought to love the mast more than any man alive. So now you who are married, you who are decent, you who read the warnings and quietly file yourself among the safe, stand up and hear the truth without flinching. There is a song on your waters right now, or there will be, and it will not sound like danger. It will sound like being understood. It will arrive in the season your marriage is tired, in the year your work feels unseen, on the very evening you feel most entitled to a little warmth. It will know your name, and in that hour your character will not save you. Your reputation will not save you. Your intentions will not save you. The ropes will save you. The ropes you tie today. So tie them today. Make the covenant with your eyes before the ship leaves the harbor. Close the secret channels while they are still innocent. Name the singing voices to your wife while they are still merely voices. Give your brothers the standing order. Wax in your ears. Hold me to the mast no matter how I reason. And then, and this is the greater work, go home and outsing the sirens. Court your wife this week as you courted her when losing her was unthinkable. Spend your attention where your vows are. Be ravished, always, with the love that God Himself stood witness to, and let the music from the rocks fall flat and thin against the sound of a feast inside your own walls. The sea is loud, but the harbor is yours. The song is sweet, but the covenant is sweeter, and it holds a glory the rocks have never known. A wife grown old in safety beside you, children who never once had to doubt you, a table surrounded by the fruit of faithfulness, and at the end of all voyages, the words every sailor of the King longs to hear, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant." Bind yourself to the mast, man of God. Sail home.